Our next reader, another Dawn, this time Dawn Walker, and this Dawn from Phoenix, Arizona. Yeah. And she's going to read an excerpt from her third prize-winning memoir, and I love the title, Dad, Mr. GPS, and Me. Yes. Miss GPS, excuse me.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I would like to say thank you to the Soulmaking Keats Literary Competition for this opportunity. And second of all, for all my friends and family who came out to support me, I truly appreciate it. Thank you. Dad, Miss GPS, and Me. It should have been an enjoyable and relaxing trip to the city that coined the phrase, what goes on here stays here. But with my father as a driver and me his co-front seat helper, even my mother knew the beginning and end to this scenario. By the way, my mother, who never learned how to drive, nor had a desire to, quite intelligently opted to be a backseat passenger, content to delight in her readings and occasional nodding offs along the way. An extra bonus was the comedy relief she received from the on and off again verbal exchange between my father and me. It was a script my mother could have written herself. Had this been a reality TV show, in my mind I'm still negotiating for one, she would have been sharing executive producer credits. Our trip one week getaway to celebrate my parents' 61st wedding anniversary began with an unexpected, here's the map for you to look at, followed by a, you can remind me which highway to take as we approach it since I'm driving, can't look at the map too. My head immediately jerked up from the contents of my purse I had just reached for and started to rummage through as my father's voice went on blast. I heard my inner audio system blast back. Whoa, what is he talking about? I have no idea where I'm going. Reading a map is not my forte. Besides, I always Google my directions in conjunction with using my own GPS. I could almost hear the sound of my mother snickering in the seat directly behind me. I knew that if I could have turned around at that very moment, she would have had one of those, this is why I'm sitting where I'm at, and you are sitting where you're at, smirky smiles on her face. As we passed the beautiful mountainous landscape with changing cloud hues, white puffs of angelic forms seemingly glided against an oceanic backdrop of blues. Then, almost out of nowhere, a rim of demonic-looking forms came, demonic-looking ashen pillows clustered in a reunion of sorts. It was that quick. I'm not sure where those demonic forms came from. Perhaps it was just a spontaneous feeling from my immediate claustrophobic environment, the daddy dearest vibes, my mindset, who knows? Anyway, after a few miles more, the chimney smoke skies reverted back to a vision of simplicity and clarity. It was intervention time. My fingers started punching buttons in a vain attempt to use my father's GPS in a search and rescue apparatus. I had familiarized myself with it somewhat on a past trip a couple years back, so it wasn't completely foreign to me. And now, well, I was more determined than ever to make it earn its keep. My father's luxury car GPS was a bit more involved than my user-friendly Honda Accord GPS. After a few trial and error fidgeting, I was finally able to input our from and to destinations. Ta-da! That wonderful female voice of reason began to speak to anyone who would listen to her. Needless to say, I was listening, but my father, who was the actual driver and who could also hear her, refused to follow her directions. The man who wasn't sure himself where he was going, although he had driven to the same place a year prior, decided that Ms. GPS didn't know where she was going either. I literally threw my hands up and announced out loud in a trying not to be exhausted voice, well, I can't help you. I just can't help you either because I told you from the beginning I do not know how to get there. Again, I'm pretty sure my mother, there was some serious snickering going on in that back seat where my mother was sitting. And if you want to hear the end, you have to buy my book, Gray Hairs from My Father. Thank you.